in such a hurry that they didn't even have time to properly dress or put on their shoes. Yet, the calm arrangement of their belongings inside the tent contradicts the theory of a frantic escape. This inconsistency has baffled investigators. The hikers' clothing presented another enigma. Some items of clothing were found to be radioactive. Although the levels were low, it was still a very unusual and inexplicable finding. Why would the clothing of a group of hikers be radioactive? Also puzzling was the orange tan on the victims' faces and the gray hair, details that do not align with the causes of death cited in the autopsy reports. Compounding the mystery, the Soviet government promptly classified the case as secret and sealed all related files, making them unavailable for public or independent scrutiny. The official explanation was deemed final, and further inquiries or public discussions of the case were discouraged. The Dyatlov Pass area was closed to expeditions and hikers for 3 years following the incident, fueling further speculation and rumors. Some other explanations, the inconclusive official explanation and the disturbing details of the incident, have given rise to a multitude of alternative theories, ranging from the plausible to the outright bizarre. 1. Avalanche theory. One of the most widely accepted theories is that of an avalanche. It is argued that the sound of an approaching avalanche, or the initial tremors of one, might have forced the group to hastily abandon their tent and seek shelter in the woods. However, skeptics argue that there were no obvious signs of an avalanche at the site. The injuries suffered by some of the victims were not typical of avalanche victims, and experienced hikers like the Dyatlov group would not have camped in an area prone to avalanches. 2. Infrasound phenomena. Another plausible scientific theory involves a natural phenomenon called a Kármán vortex street, which can produce low-frequency sound waves, known as infrasound. Under certain wind conditions, the mountain-specific shape could have generated a whirlwind of these infrasounds, inducing panic attacks or madness among the hikers. However, the impact of infrasound on humans is still a subject of ongoing research, and this theory remains speculative. 3. Military involvement. Given the Cold War era, some theorists suggest that the hikers might have unintentionally entered a secret military testing ground and fallen victim to an experimental weapon, or were killed to cover up a military secret. The radioactivity found on their clothes is often pointed out to support this theory. The lack of official documents and the secrecy surrounding the incident have fueled these speculations. 4. Mansi attack. Early in the investigation, suspicion fell on the indigenous Mansi people, with the idea that they might have attacked the hikers for encroaching on their sacred lands. But there was no evidence of anyone else having been near the Dyatlov Pass around the dates of the incident, and this theory was soon dismissed. The range of alternative theories surrounding the Dyatlov Pass incident is a testament to the enduring fascination with this cold case. Each explanation seems to offer some insight, yet no single theory can adequately address all the strange and unsettling details of this tragedy. Reopening of the case and recent developments. Given the global interest and a continuous call for a more thorough investigation, the Russian authorities announced in 2019, 60 years after the event, that they were reopening the case to provide more concrete answers to the families and the public. However, the scope of this investigation was limited, as officials stated they would only consider 3 explanations: an avalanche, a snow slab, or a hurricane. Disappointingly for many, this meant that some of the more colorful theories, involving secret military tests or extraterrestrial encounters, were not going to be investigated. The fresh investigation involved a team of experienced investigators, forensic experts, and scientists, who combed through the original case files, revisited the scene of the incident, and conducted numerous simulation experiments. In July 2020, the investigators officially declared an avalanche as the most likely cause of the tragedy. Using modern simulation technologies, they demonstrated how an avalanche could have occurred in the area where the group set up their tent, even though it was not a typical avalanche-prone area. It was argued that the hikers' own actions of cutting into the slope to set up their tent could have destabilized the snowpack, causing a delayed avalanche that struck their tent while they slept. The new investigation also offered an explanation for the hikers' horrifying injuries. It was suggested that they could have been caused by the crushing force of the snow in the avalanche, and the missing eyes and tongue of one of the victims. One of the most compelling and enduring mysteries of the 20th century, the Dyatlov Pass incident, continues to perplex investigators, researchers, and enthusiasts alike, over 6 decades after it occurred. Nestled in the icy embrace of the northern Ural Mountains of Russia, the Dyatlov Pass has been at the center of this mystifying enigma, an event that unfolded in the bitter winter of 1959 and resulted in the unexplained deaths of 9 skilled and experienced hikers. The unaccounted circumstances, eerie findings, and puzzling evidence left by the incident have led to a wide spectrum of speculations, ranging from plausible scientific theories to sensational paranormal and extraterrestrial claims. Despite numerous investigations and scientific inquiries, the Dyatlov Pass incident remains a chilling and inscrutable chapter in the annals of outdoor adventure and exploration. Where is Dyatlov Pass? The Ural mountain range, an ancient and formidable geographical feature that stretches approximately 2,500 kilometers from the northernmost edge of Russia to the country's southern borders, serves as a natural boundary between the vast plains of the European region and the expansive landscapes of Siberia in Asia. It is within the frigid grasp of these mountains that the location known as Dyatlov Pass is found. The term pass typically refers to a pathway through a mountain range, and in this case, Dyatlov Pass denotes a navigable route in the northern sector of the Ural Mountains. It was named posthumously after Igor Dyatlov, the leader of the ill-fated expedition. With elevations that are not exceptionally high compared to other mountain ranges worldwide, the highest peak, Mount Narodnaya, reaches only 1,895 meters. The Ural's harshness lies not in its height, but in its severe weather conditions. The region experiences long and brutal winters, with temperatures that can drop below -30 degrees Celsius. Snow blankets the area for many months of the year, making the terrain treacherous and the environment inhospitable. The Dyatlov Pass, specifically, is situated on the eastern slope of Kholat Syakhl, a name that ominously translates to Dead Mountain in the indigenous Mansi language. The pass itself is devoid of any significant landmarks and is subject to frequent and severe snowstorms, which can disorient even the most experienced trekkers and mountaineers. Google Maps content is not displayed due to your current cookie settings. Click on the Cookie Policy, Functional, to agree to the Google Maps cookie policy and view the content. You can find out more about this in the Google Maps privacy policy. The beginning of a tragic expedition. The ill-fated expedition that resulted in the Dyatlov Pass incident began as an ambitious journey planned by a group of ski hikers from the Ural Polytechnic Institute, located in Yekaterinburg, Russia. The team, led by a 23-year-old radio engineering student named Igor Dyatlov, consisted of 8 men and 2 women. All were experienced Grade 2 hikers with ski tour experience, and upon the completion of this trip, they were to be awarded Grade 3, the highest certification available in the Soviet Union at the time. The team members were all in their early 20s, fit, and physically prepared to withstand the harsh winter conditions of the Ural Mountains. They were well versed in survival techniques and carried with them the necessary gear for such an expedition. The group members included Igor Dyatlov, Yuri Doroshenko, Lyudmila Dubinina, Yuri Horty, Krivonishenko, Alexander Kolevatov, Zenaida Kolmogorova, Rustam Slobodin, Nikolai Thibault-Brinols, and Alexander Zolotaryov. One more member, Yuri Yudin, was also part of the initial team but had to withdraw early on due to illness. The group's plan was to reach the far northern regions of the Sverdlovsk Oblast, traverse a pass in the northern Ural Mountains, and eventually summit Mount Otwarten. The name, Otwarten, in the local Mansi language translates to, "Don't go there," an ominously prophetic warning that the group unfortunately ignored. The trek was estimated to take approximately 16 days to cover the 300 kilometers in harsh, winter conditions. On January 25, 1959, the group departed from Yekaterinburg to Ivdel by train. After several more days of travel by truck, horse, and finally on foot, they started their journey towards Otwarten from the remote settlement of Vizay on January 27. The group seemed in good spirits, and they meticulously documented their journey with diaries and cameras. They were aware of the challenges ahead but appeared prepared to face them. Timeline of terror. Reconstructing the events. The timeline of the Dyatlov Pass incident begins with the group's departure from Vizay, the last inhabited settlement in the region, on January 27, 1959. For a few days, the team made steady progress, albeit slightly slower than they had initially anticipated due to weather conditions could be attributed to natural decay and scavenging animals. Despite the official declaration, the avalanche theory has been met with skepticism from some experts and relatives of the victims, as it fails to explain some anomalies, like the trace radioactivity. The lack of any sign of a typical avalanche when the rescue team arrived and the fact that the group was experienced and would not likely set camp in an avalanche-prone area also raises doubts. While this recent development has provided a plausible explanation for the Dyatlov Pass incident, the case continues to fascinate and baffle, and theories continue to swirl around the chilling events of that fateful expedition. For many, the Dyatlov Pass incident remains an unsolved mystery, its truth as elusive and haunting as the icy landscape where it took place. Conditions and the challenging terrain. On January 28, one member of the team, Yuri Yudin, was forced to turn back due to illness. The remaining 9 members of the team continued on their planned route. The team had planned to traverse over the pass and make camp on the opposite side, but due to worsening weather conditions and reduced visibility, they lost their direction and ended up deviating west, towards the top of Kholat Syakhl. Realizing their mistake, the team decided to set up camp on the slope of the mountain, planning to correct their course the following day. The events of the night of February 1 and the early morning hours of February 2 remain a mystery to this day. Something catastrophic occurred that caused the experienced hikers to cut their way out of their tent in apparent panic and flee into the frigid night, inadequately dressed for the severe weather conditions. It wasn't until February 20, when the team failed to report back at Vizay as expected, that a search and rescue operation was launched. What the rescuers discovered in the days following was a scene of utter devastation and perplexity. The group's tent was found on February 26, half torn down and covered with snow. It was cut open from the inside, and most of the group's belongings, including their shoes, were found left behind. The bodies of the first 2 victims, clad only in their underwear, were discovered near the remains of a fire. The next 3 bodies, including Dyatlov's, were found at distances of 300, 480, and 630 meters from the tree, respectively. It seemed as though they had been attempting to return to the tent. The remaining 4 bodies were not found until 2 months later, buried under 4 meters of snow in a ravine 75 meters further into the woods from the tree. These 4 were better dressed than the others, and there were signs that those who had died first had apparently relinquished their clothes to the others. Zolotaryov was found wearing Dubinina's faux fur coat and hat, while Dubinina's foot was wrapped in a piece of Krivonishenko's wool pants. Investigation and initial findings. The immediate investigation into the Dyatlov Pass incident began shortly after the first bodies and the campsite were discovered in February 1959. It was led by a local prosecutor, Lev Ivanov, and included medical examinations, analysis of the recovered diaries and photographs, and inspection of the scene itself. The abandoned campsite presented a chilling tableau. The team's tent was found half collapsed, covered in snow, and with a large tear from the inside. Most of the group's belongings, including clothing, shoes, and other equipment, were found neatly arranged inside, indicating that the hikers had left in a hurry, underdressed for the extreme weather conditions. Outside the tent, investigators found 9 sets of footprints, some barefoot or in socks, leading away from the campsite and towards a nearby wooded area. The initial discovery of the first 5 bodies, 2 near a makeshift fire and 3 scattered between the fire and the tent, painted a distressing picture. The autopsies showed that they had died of hypothermia, and no significant external injuries were found. The fact that some bodies were found wearing clothes that belonged to other members indicated that some of the hikers had survived longer and had possibly undressed their deceased companions to reuse their clothing to fend off the severe cold. The situation took an even more perplexing turn with the discovery of the remaining 4 bodies 2 months later, found under several meters of snow in a ravine farther from the campsite. Unlike their companions, these hikers had suffered severe and unusual injuries. The autopsy reports revealed that 2 of them had major chest fractures, and 1 had a severe skull injury. Intriguingly, the force required to cause such damage would have been incredibly high, akin to a car crash. What baffled the investigators was the absence of any external wounds or bruises typically associated with such injuries. The initial investigation concluded in May 1959, with the official report stating that the hikers died as a result of a compelling natural force, a statement as ambiguous as the circumstances of the incident itself. The lack of a clear conclusion, coupled with the subsequent sealing of the case and its files by Soviet authorities, has only served to deepen the mystery of the Dyatlov Pass incident. The many unanswered questions. The Dyatlov Pass incident is surrounded by an aura of mystery, fueled by a series of unsettling details and anomalies that emerged during and after the initial investigation. One of the first puzzling details was the discovery of the tent itself. It was found half collapsed, cut open from the inside, with all the group's belongings neatly arranged within. This suggests that whatever caused the group to leave their tent, they did it